What's up, y'all? I'm Master Hogan. Today we're talking about the difference between mobility and flexibility. All right, so we're gonna chat about the definition and then we're gonna take a look at something called the length tension curve. All right, and I'm gonna explain it and tell you why it matters and why what you think about flexibility might not be true. All right, so definitions first. Flexibility is basically just the elasticity of your muscles. So that's how much they can stretch like a rubber band, basically, okay? So that doesn't even always relate to even the elastic force that's produced either though, okay? So maybe a rubber band's not necessarily the best analogy, but it's pretty much just how much your muscles can stretch, all right? Conversely, mobility is the ability of your muscles to move through a full joint range, all right? So that means you yourself are actively moving your muscles through a range of motion, all right? So why is that important? Well, let's take a look at this length tension curve first, and then I'll tell you why. Here's our length tension curve. So what the heck is this thing? So here's what we have. On the bottom, the x-axis of a muscle. So right at 100 would be absolute rest, all right? So that doesn't necessarily mean shortened or lengthened, that just means rest. Going down in numbers on that bottom axis would be contraction of a muscle, and over here would be stretch, okay? So why is this thing important? Well, basically, with this active tension here, this is what your muscles can generate, okay? So as you're moving out of an absolute shortened phase, all right, to a more lengthened phase, all right, you're having to generate more tension. That's what this is saying. So this is also saying, so that's active tension. This is also saying here with passive tension, as you move from your absolute resting part to a more stretched or like tensile part of where the muscle is, okay, then this kind of passive tension starts to build, all right? And when you combine active tension with passive tension, you have more than just if they're working separately, all right? So that's really the takeaway from this. When you are in a more stretched range, you have the ability to tap into more total tension, and therefore you're able to generate more force. So how the heck do you do that? Well, in short, you have to master your range. So that means a few different things. That means you need to master the range of motion you already have, which includes the eccentric portion especially, all right? So a lot of people tend to mostly just focus on the contraction or the concentric part of their movements. That's good, but you have to intentionally train the whole thing, all right? And the reason for that is gonna be the same as the reason that you have to train the ends of your range, all right? So that's the other key, you have to train the ends of your range intentionally, all right? So that's twofold, important for two reasons. The first reason is that training that eccentric and the end range where you're most lengthened, okay, that end, not the most shortened range, because you're mechanically advantaged there at that, so that doesn't really do you much good, but where you're very mechanically disadvantaged, so for example, this might be like the very bottom part where you're hanging, absolutely hanging from a bar and you're about to do a pull-up. You have to generate basically force from nothing, all right? So that is important because you are learning to neurologically recruit as much musculature as you can, whether that's skeletal muscle, tendinous, and ligamentous tissue, all of it, okay? So that's where you're tapping in to the passive and the active tension, all right? If you're able to intentionally generate force through that, then you're able to exert control over that whole range, okay? And then as well, if you continue to train concentric and eccentric parts, so that is a lot of times referred to as the negative of a movement, then you're still building control. And if you're on top of that exerting intention on the movement, then you're still building muscular control. All right, so we're going to explore this concept a little bit more going forward, and I'm going to start including more mobility type exercises that I'm going to give you guys. All right, so stay tuned on that. I'm Master Hogan signing off with the sushi shirt. Take care.